Hello and a good day to all my dear children. I hope you all are staying safe and sound within your houses. As you all are aware that we are supposed to do a revision on the syllabus from third term onwards, I thought of starting with the poems. In this particular presentation, I will be discussing the first 3 poems in our anthology. So please take your literature anthology and be ready. Now let's proceed.
Now, let us focus on the objectives of this presentation. The main objective of the presentation is to do a proper revision for the poems that the students have been studying since grade 9. First 4 poems of the anthology will be discussed in this particular presentation, broadening the knowledge of the students regarding poems. We will be discussing each poem under the following topics: about the poet, introduction of the poem, techniques of the poem, themes of the poem, as well as the possible questions of the poem. The content. These are the 3 poems that we will be discussing in this presentation. First poem, To the Nile by John Keats. Second poem, A Bird Came Down the Walk by Emily Dickinson. The third poem, The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Now we are going to discuss the first poem in our literature anthology, that is the poem To the Nile by John Keats. First of all, we'll recite the poem. Now you all should take your books and turn to page number 1 where the poem is. To the Nile by John Keats. Son of the all-moon mountains African, chief of the pyramid and crocodile, we call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our seeing's inward span, nurse of swart nations since the world began. Art thou so fruitful, or dost thou beguile such men to honour thee, who want with toil rest for a space twixt Cairo and Deccan? O make dark fancies err, they surely do. 'Tis ignorance that makes a barren waste. Of all beyond itself thou dost bedew green rushes like our rivers, and dost taste the pleasant sunrise. Green isle hast thou too, and to the sea as happily dost haste. This particular slide shows us about the poet John Keats. John Keats was known as one of the Romantic poets, and he is one of the most prominent figures in the Romantic movement. We can see he has used lots of sensual imagery, that means images that appeal to one or more of the 5 senses, and throughout his poems, which will bring out lots of messages and which has been the path to his central theme. He died at the age of 26 due to tuberculosis, and during that short period of time he has immensely contributed to the history of English literature. This particular slide shows you a beautiful picture of the Nile River, and also I have included a small description about the River Nile for your further information. River Nile is the longest river in the African continent, and it is 6,670 kilometers in length. River Nile flows through countries like Egypt, Uganda, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Burundi. Nile has created a very fertile land on either side of the river banks in Egypt across the desert. Now we have a clear idea about the River Nile as well as a clear view of the Nile River and its beauty. This particular slide is created for the further information of the children. Now here you can see how the Egyptians have built different types of cultivations as well as their civilization on either side of the Nile River. And also you can see in the below picture that there are some pyramids and a nice beautiful view of a village can be seen clearly, which is alongside the river Nile. And also I have given you a map which shows us the path of the river Nile, which starts from the Moon Mountains across Egypt and it flows down until Burundi. Now we have a very clear image of the river Nile, its surrounding as well as its pathway. Now let's focus on to the introduction of the poem as well as the techniques and also the themes. Now we have arrived at the slide where we'll have a clear introduction about the poem To the Nile. To the Nile by John Keats happens to be a sonnet which consists of an octave and a sestet. Now, what is a sonnet? That question might come to your head. Of course, now as you have studied literature and also all the 20 poems by now, you have a clear understanding what is a sonnet. But let me remind you all again. A sonnet happens to be a lyric which is consisting of 14 lines. There are only exactly 14 lines in a poem, in a sonnet. What do we mean by consisting of an octave and a sestet? Octave means a verse which consists of 8 lines and a sestet means a set of 6 lines. That means 8 lines and 6 lines is the way that we divide a sonnet into an octave and a sestet. And here the poem happens to be a sonnet which consists of an octave and a sestet. Keats presents the Nile as a god of the men and animals by describing the beauty of the nature in the octave. But immediately upon conferring that honor upon the river, he begins to question whether the river Nile deserves the reputation in the sestet while comparing the river Nile with the ordinary rivers in England as well as around the world. In the previous slide, we had an introduction to the poem To the Nile. Then we saw how Keats had structured the poem into a sonnet which consists of 14 lines. Within this 14-line poem, he has divided into an octave and a sestet. Now, in this particular poem To the Nile, we can see how Keats had admired the beauty and the glorious nature of the Nile River and how he has been on terms of criticizing the river Nile in the sestet section. Now here in this particular slide, we are going to go through the techniques of the poem. I hope you all are keeping your books with you at this moment. Okay, let's proceed. First of all, if we consider about the structure, we already know that it is a sonnet. Then, when we look at the title, we can see that Keats had addressed the Nile River, which brings out the form of an ode. So, what is an ode? Yes, of course, you know the answer. An ode means a form of a poem which is being addressed to someone. Now, we'll move on to the poem. In the first line of the poem, we find a technique that is personification. Now, overall, we'll look where we can find the technique personification. Now, first of all, what is personification? Personification means we are giving life to something, a human quality to something. Now, here we have in the first line of the poem, if you can see, son of the all moon mountains African. Now the river Nile is being referred as the son of the all moon mountains. Now that is a personification. Now that is why I have underlined the particular line, the word son. Next we are moving on to the next second line, chief of the pyramid and crocodile. Now a chief happens to be a person who is senior and who is above the others, and a person who is ordering the others, who are the people who are below that person. Now here the river Nile is being addressed as a chief. Then if we move on to the fifth line, we can see another personification example. nurse of swart nations since the world began. That means the river Nile again is being referred to as a nurse. Why is it being referred to as a nurse? It is because it gives a healing power to the river Nile. It's like a mother, it's like a nurse who heals the Swart nations, that means the dark people or the dark nation in the African continent. Moving on to the next technique, that is a metaphor. What is a metaphor? Metaphor is of course like a simile, but simile we have two special words, that is like or as. So metaphor means we are directly comparing something without using the words like or as. So here we have the metaphor all moon mountains, which you can find in the line 1 of the poem. Here the all moon mountains is referred to the parents or the origin of the river Nile. From that mountain itself is the place that the river Nile is flowing through. Then another metaphor can be found in the 5th line, that is Swart nations. Here the Swart nations means the dark and the strong people who are living in the African continent. Now we'll move on to the third technique that we find in this poem. That is rhetorical question. What do you mean by rhetorical question? Okay, rhetorical question means that a question is being asked but the answer is not expected. Now here we find the rhetorical question, art thou so fruitful, in line 6. Art thou so fruitful means are you so useful? Are you so fruitful? Who is this being asked? By the river Nile. Who is asking? The poet. The poet is asking the river Nile whether you are so useful. So that is a rhetorical question, but the answer is not expected. Then again we find the question, rest for a space twixt Cairo and Deccan. Cairo and Deccan are two cities where we see the river Nile is flowing through, and this particular line can be found in the 7th line, this particular rhetorical question. Now those two are coming under the example of rhetorical question. Then we are moving on to the 4th technique, that is simile. Now earlier also when we discussed the metaphor, we discussed what is a simile. A phrase that is using like or as when comparing two things. Now here we find this particular simile in line number 12, green rushes like our rivers. That means our rivers means the rivers in England, because Keats happens to be a British poet. Now he is referring to river Nile, to the rivers in England. Then we have structure, that is of course we discussed a sonnet. Form, that of course we discussed an ode to the river Nile. Then the language. Here we can see the language is not similar to the language that we are using today. So that is why we call such language as archaic language. What do you mean by archaic language? Yes, it means Old English. Now here we see throughout the poem, the poet has used different types of archaic language, like art thou so fruitful, dost thou beguile, and those twigs dark fancies like that. The poet has used lots of archaic language within the poem To the Nile. So that is overall about the techniques in the poem To the Nile. Now we are moving on to one of the special sections of a poem, that is the themes of the poem. Now as we have learned about the poem and its techniques, we will learn the themes which will be useful when writing an appreciation. The first theme we come across is the beauty of nature. We saw how Keats had been clever in bringing out the beauty of nature throughout the poem To the Nile, and how he have admired and how he has glorified the theme nature, the beauty of nature. The next theme is every aspect of nature is beautiful and enriching, and that natural beauty is not divine, since the river is an ordinary part of nature. This theme can be proven by the sestet specially, as the poet depicts that every part of nature is beautiful and enriching, and he has highlighted that fact in particular in the sestet. Now, as we went through the poem, the whole poem, we will peep into the possible questions that can arise from the poem To the Nile. First question is, Keats presents two images of the Nile River in his sonnet To the Nile. Discuss. Second question, what makes the sonnet To the Nile by John Keats a good nature poem? Comment. Third question, what is the main message of the sonnet To the Nile by John Keats? Now these questions will help you to improve your writing as well as to gather all the facts that you have now with you and to write one nice answer. Now I hope that you all have gained quite a lot of information about the Nile River. So it's time for you to answer the questions that are being mentioned in the slide number 9, which are related to the poem To the Nile. Thank you. Now we have come to the second poem in our anthology, that is the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk by Emily Dickinson. Now children, turn to page number 1 and we will recite the poem. A bird came down the walk by Emily Dickinson. A bird came down the walk, he did not know I saw. He bit an angel worm in halves and ate the fellow raw. And then he drank a dew from a convenient grass, and then hopped sidewise to the wall to let a beetle pass. He glanced with rapid eyes that hurried all abroad. They looked like frightened beads, I thought. He stirred his velvet head. Turn to page number 2. Like one in danger, cautious, I offered him a crumb, and he unrolled his feathers and rowed him softer home than oars divide the ocean, two silver for a seam. O butterflies off banks of noon, leap plashless as they swim. Let's have a closer look about the poet Emily Dickinson. She was born on 10th of December 1830 and she died on 15th of May 1886. She was an American poet. And when we consider about her character, she was an introvert. That means she did not move along with the society or the other people in society. And she has very limited social interactions. So she was like a secluded person, just to very close friends, and lived a life that is introvert life. Now her poetry merely includes major themes such as nature, friends, love and death. Most of her poems have been influenced by her education of the Bible, classical mythology and Shakespeare. So this particular poem is themed under the theme nature. Now in the next slide we'll see how the poet Emily Dickinson has brought out the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk. In this particular introduction of the poem, I have included both the introduction as well as the summary of the poem. A Bird Came Down the Walk by Emily Dickinson is a poem related to nature. Dickinson has narrated her personal experience about an encounter with a bird. The speaker describes once seeing a bird come down the walk, unaware that it was being watched. The bird ate an angel worm, then drank a dew from a nearby grass, and then hopped sidewise to let a beetle pass. Now, why is the bird letting a beetle pass? The beetle, of course, is a type of a food for the bird. But why is it letting it pass? It shows that the bird is not a greedy person. and he is contented or satisfied with whatever he had, because earlier he had an angel worm, and then he also drank some water from some dew from a nearby grass. So it shows that the bird is contented and happy with whatever he had. Then the bird, being frightened, he moves his bead-like eyes all around the place that he is in that particular time. Cautiously, the speaker offered him a crumb, that means a piece of bread. But the bird, being very suspicious, he unrolled his feathers and flew away as though rowing in the water, but with a grace gentler than that with which oars divide the ocean, or butterflies leap off banks of noon. Though the way that he flew towards his softer home, that means his nest, appeared to be very like a swim, appeared to swim without splashing. So the poet Emily Dickinson has described this particular poem in a very peaceful, calming manner, but giving a huge message to the reader.
In this particular slide, we will be checking out the techniques of the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk. Now, if we consider the title of the poem, A Bird Came Down the Walk is being repeated in the and it occurs in the first line of the poem itself. So, a bird came down the walk. Earlier also we discussed that a bird is coming down the walk or coming down the path like a man. So the bird happens to be personified. So personification is used for the word a bird. That is why I have underlined the word a bird. So that can be found in the first line of the first stanza as well as in the title of the poem. The second example for the personification is ate the fellow roe. Here the fellow means the animal or the worm that is being eaten by the bird. Now here that example can be found in the fourth line of the first stanza. Now please keep your books with you at this moment, because it is very important for you to follow with me in through the poem. The second technique that we come across is metaphor. The metaphor can be found in the third stanza, last line, the velvet head. The head, his velvet head, the head of the animal is being described as a velvet head to show its softness. Then we come across the third simile, the third technique, that is the simile. They looked like frightened beads. That can be found in the third line of the third stanza. The eyes of the bird are being referred to as frightened beads. That means they are very widespread and they are very scared. The eyes are looking very scared. So that is they look like frightened beads are being compared to the eyes of the bird. The fourth example that we come across, the technique that we come across, is alliteration. The alliteration can be found in the fifth stanza, second line. To silver for a seam. S sound is being repeated. Silver for a seam. S sound is being repeated. That is the technique alliteration. Then as the fifth technique, we find the technique assonance. That can be again found in the same stanza. That means stanza 5, first line. Oars divide the ocean. That means the oars divide the ocean. The O sound is being repeated. That is why we say the technique assonance is being repeated there. Then we come across to an imagery. What is the imagery? Visual imagery. Here the whole poem, if we say the whole poem is exactly can be visualized, right? The whole poem can be visualized. But I will bring out some examples for you. The first example is the way the bird is walking down the path. A bird came down the walk. And the second example that we can tell is in the first stanza, third line. He bit an angel worm in halves. We see the way that the bird is eating that worm that the bird found in the yard. The third example that we can see, the way he is turning his head. He is tired his velvet head, that can be found in the third stanza, last line. He is tied his velvet head. So the way we can see that the bird is turning his head here and there. This poem, the whole poem altogether, it can be visualized very nicely, as it creates very beautiful visual imagery. And if we can talk about the structure of the poem, the structure is, it consists of 5 stanzas, which one stanza consisting of 4 lines each. Now those are the techniques of the poem as a overall look. Now let's consider into the themes and the possible questions of the poem. Now we have come to the end of the poem, A Bird Came Down the Walk. We discussed the introduction, about the poet, as well as the techniques. Now it is time for us to look into the themes of the poem, A Bird Came Down the Walk. The first theme that we come across is, nature is self-sufficient, self-nurturing and self-possessed. That can be clearly seen through the character, the bird, who is in the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk. He is finding food by himself, he is eating them, he is not like greedy or anything. That is why he let that beetle pass. So he is only self-sufficient, self-nurturing, self-possessed. That is why when the poet offers him a breadcrumb, he flies away, because he does not want to be interrupted by anyone else. The second theme that we come across is, the nature does not need any human intervention, since it is a self-controlled, self-independent and natural system which builds up on its own. That is why when the human or the poet happens to intervene in the normal procedure of the bird, it happens to move away from that environment, because it does not need anyone to control that nature, a part of nature. That is why it flew away to its softer home. The third theme that we come across is, nature is beautiful, so admire it from a distance. Of course, before the intervention of the human or the poet, we saw how the animal is creating its own environment and being moving around that place very freely. But with the intervention of the human or the danger, it happens to destroy that peaceful nature and it happens to go away from that particular environment. So that is why we say nature is beautiful, so don't go close to it, admire it from a distance. So that is the themes of that. Those are the themes of the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk. Then we will peep into the possible questions of the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk by Emily Dickinson. Now I hope you will answer these 3 questions that are being given in this particular slide, as these are the questions that can arise from the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk. First question, how does Emily Dickinson shows that humans cannot control nature in the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk? Comment. Second question, what are the poetic devices used in the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk? Discuss with reference to the poem. Third question, what is the main theme of the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk? So these are the 3 questions that can arise from the poem A Bird Came Down the Walk, and I hope you have gathered enough information to answer these questions and provide a suitable and a nice answer in the future. Now we have arrived at the third poem of our anthology, the poem The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Turn to page number 2 and then we'll recite the poem. The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the sewer world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. Now, in this particular slide, we are going to look about the poet Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born on 6th of August 1809 and he died on 6th of October 1892. Alfred Lord Tennyson was a well-known Victorian poet. That means he belonged to the Victorian era. His poems were a tremendous success during his era. So due to his successful nature, he was selected as the Poet Laureate after William Wordsworth. The Poet Laureate means the poet of the palace. He was popular for his ability in creating short lyrics. So that is about the poet Alfred Lord Tennyson. Now, as our poem title is The Eagle, we will see or we will search some information about the bird, the eagle. An eagle is the most powerful bird in the kingdom of birds. It has very sharp eyes and a very powerful eyesight and very sharp claws. It lives lonely in high mountains and very rare to be seen among humans. The eagle is a predator who rules the sky. An eagle is a symbol of courage, strength and immortality. Now we have a clear view about the poet as well as the bird and eagle. So in the next slide we will be checking on the introduction of the poem The Eagle.
Now, in this particular extract, we are going to look at the introduction of the poem The Eagle. The eagle, the bird, happens to be the subject matter of the poem. The poet has used his personal experience while he was on a trip to the Pyrenees. Pyrenees happens to be a range of mountains in southwest Europe. The poet has used figurative language to bring out a deeper meaning out of the poem. The poet commences the poem with a clear description of the eagle's appearance, its actions and its surrounding. He describes how the bird is in a higher position but notices a prey down in the sea, and a sudden reaction is seen by the bird in order to catch its prey. And we can see how the quick reaction of the bird occurs at the time he sees his prey below in the sea. This particular slide happens to bring about the techniques of the poem The Eagle. The main technique of the poem used by the poet is personification. Throughout the poet has personified the bird, the eagle, as he has given the pronoun he, which is supposed to be it for the bird, but he has given the word pronoun he in order to highlight the qualities of humans as well equal to the animal, the eagle. Another technique that the poet has used is alliteration. This occurs in two places. One is he clasps the cracked with crooked. The k sound cc happens to repeat in clasps, cracked and crooked, which creates the technique alliteration. And also in the second example we can see lonely lands, which happens to be another example for alliteration, the repetition of the L sound. The third technique that we happen to come across in this poem is hyperbole. Hyperbole means exaggerating the things that is normally described. Here we have the phrase close to the sun in lonely lands. Now the phrase close to the sun happens to be the hyperbole, which shows us that the bird is very well high up in the sky. The fourth technique that we happen to come across is a metaphor. Here the metaphor azure world refers to the blue sky where the bird is very close to. The fifth example or the technique that we come across is simile. It occurs in the last line of the poem, and like a thunderbolt he falls. So the action of the bird is referred to the thunderbolt, and the whole poem, the appearance of the eagle, the surrounding and his actions can be visualized. So the whole poem happens to create visual imagery.
as we went through the whole poem, the techniques, the introduction, about the poet as well as about the animal eagle, we have come to the end of the poem. That means the place we have to study the themes of the poem, the eagle. The first theme we come across in this particular poem is the eagle is portrayed as a symbol of power. Earlier also when we discussed about the animal eagle, I told that the animal eagle is used as a logo to symbolize power. So here in this particular poem we can see as one of the themes that the eagle is portrayed as a symbol of power. The second theme that we come across is loneliness, which is coupled with majestic and powerful existence of human beings. That means due to your majestic and powerful nature, you happen to be a lonely person, you happen to be an isolated person because the other people cannot reach to you. So that is the second theme that we come across in this particular poem. Now we will have a peep into the possible questions that can arise from the poem The Eagle. And I hope at the end of this slide you will be answering these questions one by one as an appreciation. Now let's go into the questions. The first question: the poet uses symbolism, imagery and metaphorical language in the poem The Eagle. The first question: the poet uses symbolism, imagery and metaphorical language in the poem The Eagle. Discuss. The second question: the eagle is portrayed as a symbol of power in the poem The Eagle by Tennyson. Comment. Third question: the poem is not a mere description of the eagle. It serves a more deeper meaning which highlights the powerful human being. Do you agree? So these are the questions and end of the presentation. Now I hope you all have got quite a lot of information about the three poems, To the Nile, A Bird Came Down the Walk, as well as the poem The Eagle. And I hope you will answer the questions that I have included in the presentation within your stay at home. Thank you, and let's meet with another presentation. Have a good day and stay safe all of you.